But we do have some interviews that Alex has done in London yesterday. We have one about the breaking crisis with the NSA, Verizon, and the PRISM scandal that was breaking yesterday and today. Every day, we're finding out new information about new areas of our life where the government is spying on every single thing we do. And Alex has been talking about this for quite some time, just like he's been talking about Bilderberg. Now people are seeing it for themselves. We see secret documents being released, and we've got a video coming up right here, and we're going to be taking your calls afterwards to talk about some of this. The number to call is 800-259-9231. That's 800-259-9231. We're going to be taking calls, and we're going to be looking at some of Alex's interviews that have been happening in London. Right now, this is an interview that he had about the Verizon and the data leakage charges. So here we go.
It's been our job and our main goal just to expose their powerful lobbying groups and organizations like Bilderberg above government that are transnational, that come in and basically lobby governments to give them corporate bailouts, to buy weapons systems. There's all sorts of collusion going on here. There were Lockheed Martin investigations in the 70s. That's why the founder, Prince Bernhard, had to step down. There's just all sorts of shady goings-on, price fixing, you name it. Over the years, via WikiLeaks, but before that, even the BBC and others broke a lot of news out of Bilderberg, where they were indeed inside setting policy. And they've refused Freedom of Information Act request as well, saying that policy is being made. But then the Bilderberg Group separately says policy is not being made. The Bilderberg Group is basically a world shadow government. It is a legendary organization within government, within people in Congress and your parliament. They all know about it. They all lust to be invited, because if you get invited here, you end up being president or prime minister. But then, meanwhile, they tell the public it doesn't exist. Well, in the past, the New York Times just 4 years ago said that I was in Chantilly at a Bilderberg meeting covering it, and that it was imaginary, that I imagined helicopters and Secret Service and black vehicles. And they told their readers that I had a full-on insane breakdown and that it didn't exist. But we had all the YouTube videos. I made a film that was seen more than 40 million times online, the Obama deception, showing it all, so they were discredited. So I've never seen such a news blackout as we have in the United States. It's been better here, but the dam has broken on the blackout of Bilderberg. You've got your prime minister coming here today. That shows that they've gone from trying to be secret, so they're not under the light of publicity, to now saying, okay, we're no big deal. We're kind of like a G20 meeting.
It's a curious coalition here. Not everybody's going to agree with some of your, say, your politics as stated in America on other issues. I mean, there's some very left-wing voices here. You're hardcore libertarian. How do you map through those differences?
Well, I'm really a populist who does believe in libertarian ideas when they're actually brought forth from the grassroots. And so,
there's loads of left-wingers here who probably thought Obama was a bit of a hero. You don't agree with those guys, do you?
Hey, let me ask you, you think Obama's a hero? No! Hey, do you think George Bush is a hero? Okay, no. People are fed up. They know the system is a fraud. They know it's a scam. They know there's people above prime ministers and presidents that are pulling the strings. We want to talk about the puppeteers, not the puppets. And that's what's happening, is really an end of the naivety. What we're seeing happen is an end of the incredible naivete of the general public to actually believe the media and the government when they say there's no secret rooms, there's no manipulation going on. When there's been...
It's not secret anymore, is it?
No, but they tried to keep it secret. They tried to have media they controlled for decades say it didn't exist, or now that it doesn't have any power, or those of us that criticize it are conspiracy theorists. When we've gotten their minutes, we know they created the European Union as a system to implode countries under corporate governance. We know that they lobbied years before for the Iraq War I and Iraq War II and tried to create the climate so that those wars would happen. This is about as evil as you get on this planet. This is a global corporate government that is trying to take over the entire planet. They're not in full control yet, but they are a world government that is basically learning to walk right now, and it wants to run.
Right now, on the day that this meeting's happened, we've had this story that the National Security Agency in your country in America has got access to all sorts of US data, tech company data. Some of the tech bosses are in there. What's your kind of response to that development? Do you trust data in your own country from these large tech companies?
For 18 years on air, I've exposed that all communications in the Western world, whether it's the EU, the UK, or the United States, run through hubs and are recorded. In the old days, it was just text they saved. This is all in Congress. The media just wouldn't touch it because we're free countries. We're not recording you. And now they come out and say, you know what, we've audio recorded everything you've said the last decade, so watch it. This is the establishment coming out and saying, you bet we're listening, and you bet if you criticize us, the IRS is going to come and we're going to audit you. So sit down and shut up, peasants. That's what's happening. And I was called a conspiracy theorist on national U.S. TV. Alex Jones says the government's spying on you without warrants and recording your phone calls. When it was in the Telecommunications Act of 1996, $9 billion to fund the upgrade of huge computer hubs in all telecommunications to record everything. They have giant NSA bases down the street from my house in Austin, Texas. They have a huge one in San Antonio, 60 miles away. They have them in every state, giant compounds with black helicopters and men with guns and machine guns recording everything. And if you go and put a camera on it, they come out and arrest you. And then the media won't cover it because those bases don't exist. They're right next to a Walmart in San Antonio. Thousands of acres, giant compounds, helicopters, men with masks on. None of it exists. And then I'm going, it exists. They're like, crazy man. There's no NSA. There's no spying. There's no torture. There's no corruption. The government loves you. Everything's fine. Piers Morgan cares about you. I'm here to tell everybody something right now. I'm here to tell all the globalists and all the sellouts, the answer to your 1984 tyranny is 1776! 1776! 1776! 1776! And by the way, 1776 is not about America versus England. The Parliament almost voted to give freedom to the colonies, and the king came down and demanded they declare war. The fight in the colonies was a 1,000-year war they'd had in these isles for freedom in England, in Ireland, in Scotland, in Wales, everywhere. It's a human fight for the Magna Carta that Tony Blair, when he first got elected, declared he would kill. That is treason. You want to know why you're a slave? They're trying to kill your Magna Carta, your due process, so they're above the law. And that's why we're here. The New World Order is not above the law. And liberty is rising!
Right now, though, Facebook, Apple, Google, YouTube, Skype, it's just been revealed that almost all of those networks have a back passage, as it were, in from the US government, from the NSA. What would you say to individuals in terms of what this means about the relationship with the state?
Google is the state. Facebook is the state. Google was set up with funding from In-Q-Tel and the CIA. That's mainstream news. But government has more scrutiny on it than private corporations, so they set up these subgroups under it so that they can then claim that they have corporate deniability. Google, Facebook, Twitter, all of them serve the global corporate interest. They're spying on everybody. Google's on record driving around with Google cars, stealing everyone's data, breaking into passcodes. Meanwhile, you do that with some cops, you go to jail in the UK. That's just because the low-level cops aren't supposed to get into the big-time game of spying on people, hacking phones. You hack phones, you go to jail. You spy on everybody illegally, well, they make you king.
Do you have a problem with them using this technology to root out security problems?
The Al-Qaeda threat is run by the globalists. They created them on record. They ran them in Libya. They run them in Syria. The New World Order is staging the bombings in India. It's provocatoring the bombings here. It is going out and finding mentally ill people in every case, even the New York Times reports, and they're totally discredited, but they have to admit that our government has created over 100 fake terror attacks by going out and finding mentally ill people. They use the pretext of a terror threat to spy on everyone, and now it turns out it's to spy on constitutionalists, nationalists, people that love freedom. Members of Congress are being spied on by the NSA. Why? Because they're Al-Qaeda? No. Big Brother uses the excuse of Al-Qaeda that they run done to take our liberty. And we're now at a critical crossroads because all this is coming out. And if people make the decision collectively to say, well, that's okay, then we go deep into tyranny. We're at that crossroads where all this open evil either wakes us up and we reverse the pendulum from tyranny back to liberty, or we just kind of give into it and go, okay, Bob got disappeared because, you know, he might have been a security threat, or, yeah, they're spying on you. That's to keep us safe. This is pure classical authoritarianism, and it has come to the United States. It has come to England. It has come to Europe.
Well, you seem to have won the argument amongst this audience, but the masses don't seem to care about their privacy being taken. You don't speak for the mass. I don't speak for them, but I'm saying by evidence they seem to put whatever, you know, all of their personal data on Facebook for free forever. All of the tweets seem to be coming out
because they were promised by Google and all of them that they weren't saving it. But now that they're discovering that they were lied to, they are becoming angry. And the average person is doing nothing wrong, so they feel like, well, that's okay, the government's nice. But now they find out the government's corrupt and run by private piratical interest, and now people are upset saying, I don't want you to have my data.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Ready to go? Yeah, we're late.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com.
Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants.
So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Let's go to Gordon in London. You've been waiting for a while, Gordon. What do you think about all of this and about Bilderberg?
Well, this is just an amazing breakthrough for as far as I can see, I hope, for the Western world. There's no doubt about it. It's a real opportunity for people to really wake up and start taking back their rights in the Western world, not just America. And unfortunately, Americans do seem to be bearing the brunt of their liberty being taken away from them. I've been watching an awful lot on the internet, largely from Alex. I just cannot believe what an amazing job he's doing.
Well, let me tell you, Gordon, I appreciate that. Let me tell you, they're spying on you too. It's Americans who are doing it, but they're not just spying on every American. They're spying on you too. That was the whole point with FISA. They asserted that they had the right to record all of your phone conversations. It's just that they said, we're not doing it to Americans. And now it comes out, as we all knew, they were actually doing it to Americans. And they're not only looking at who you're calling and when you're calling, they are saving the content, and they're going to put it in the data center there in Utah. So it's not just us, you're in this too, but we've got to fight it here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go for it. I mean, I understand that, and I'm not ignorant to this. I've worked, and they're probably listening to me now because I've worked in as a servant to very senior people in a very large corporation. And during that period, I suffered so much psychological bullying. It was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I knew they were listening to everything that I said, and, you know, it hasn't left me. 2013, I know, you know, you guys are Christians. I certainly am. I'm open to this whole new global awakening thing as well. Mm-hmm. And I know, you know, staunch Christians are totally against that, and I understand that as well. But at the same time, in Christianity, we respect everything. So it's just suddenly hit me. I won't go into the details as to why. Just in time for what was called the Mayan shift, I was reawoken to something that I realized was going to happen 20-odd years ago by somebody. It was like somebody suddenly turning on a light. And what Alex is doing, his energy, his message for people is just so fantastic. Now he's done this, people are going to be aware that they're all being listened to. Just an interesting point, okay? I don't want this to get boring because I've made my girlfriend absolutely sick and tired, and unfortunately she introduced of going on and on about all this. But I had a conversation with I'm in Hartford, yeah, which is the county town of Hertfordshire. You have a Hartford in the States, which is named after this town.
Mm-hmm.
So it's near Watford, and I'm hoping to catch up with Alex over the weekend. I've got my children coming down from Scotland. I may pop down, hoping to pop down on the Sunday. I think he's still going to be there. But I had a conversation with an arms officer. Now, as you know, we officially, police don't carry guns here.
We're getting up close to a break.
Our viewers have demanded it, so now you're gonna get it. More pro-Second Amendment gun shows in the month of June.
What we've learned is you cannot hide behind an I-beam when there's a 50 cal present.
Brothers in Arms, 50 cal ammo review, and more. Coming in the month of June to the InfoWar.
All right, we're back at the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and we're talking to callers, and we're going to have some Alex interviews coming up. We were just talking to Gordon from London, and he was right at a cliffhanger when we had to go to break, and I wanted to hear the end of that story. Gordon, you still there?
Yes, David.
Could you tell us real quickly, you were telling us that you had somebody that you talked to that didn't know anything about the Bilderberg meeting. Go ahead and get that point quickly. I've got some other people on the line, but I'd like to hear how that ends.
Constabulary, who are the security for all this. I thought, okay, well, I'll check him out because I don't believe in hiding things. Whereas I knew that I was possibly putting myself in a difficult situation for him. But I said, have you heard about this secret society meeting? Are you working over the weekend? He said, no. What are you talking about? And so, of course, I went to it, and he said, it's not secret. And I said, yeah, but it has been hidden. And he said, yeah, but you know about it, I know about it. So obviously the whole of the Hertfordshire Constabulary had been briefed about it. Therefore, the more these people have to try and protect themselves, the more it's infiltrating out into the general man, the common man, and woman and child.
That's right.
And I've seen Alex talk, being by the police, people asking the police questions. And my point is that, we've really got to get on board with this. Have faith. Alex is just leading. He's leading an amazing opportunity for us to do this, but it needs to be done, obviously, peacefully. We don't want anybody thinking, we don't want a civil war. We don't want people overthrowing with violence or anything like that, because that's just replacing the same with the same, and then Satan gets in there, and it starts all over again. So,
violence is their technique. They're the ones who have the assassination kill list. They're the ones who fire missiles at people from the air. They're the ones who kill thousands of people, the ones who have the secret bombings of Cambodia. That's their tactic. What we're trying to do is fight them with the truth. We're trying to shine the light on them. That's what Alex has done. He's forcing these cockroaches out into the open. They can no longer credibly deny that this meeting exists. Up until just a couple of years ago, that was their strategy. As Glenn Greenwald talked about when he first covered it in 2009, they were being chased around Spain by security services. That just doesn't work anymore. But they are still hiding their agenda. They're still trying to pretend that this is something that is not important. And yet we have prime ministers, chancellors of the exchequer taking time out of their calendar for 2 days, going there and meeting and not having any transparency, any disclosure about what is being covered there. That is absolutely criminal. It invites corruption. It breeds corruption. We've seen it. We know that happens. Let's go to Rod in France. Rod, are you there?
Can you hear me, David?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Really good to get to talk to you. I tried to get in yesterday to make some comments on some points that you brought up about whistleblowers, how it's so important that these people come out in the open. And as Alex said today on the show, I think it's really important that we really try to stand behind these people because they're coming out and telling us the truth and telling us the things that are going on, and they're putting themselves at risk. And I really feel like they need our support. And a second thing I'd like to say, while I've got you on the line, is you were speaking about a petition, to get Obama to resign. Is it possible, like in Colorado with the recall vote that they're doing in Colorado, would it be possible to go state by state and get actually all the states to get 7,000 signatures, or I don't know if it's per capita or how that works, but
I really don't know what I don't know what the legal process is. I believe that impeachment needs to start in the House. It may be done completely in the House. I really haven't looked at that, but I'm hoping that someone will do something about that. We had an article, what you were just talking about, in the Atlantic by Connor Friedersdorf, said the unknown patriot who exposed the government's Verizon spy program, and he says in it, why did he do it? It's impossible to know, but it isn't hard to identify likely motives. Perhaps the leaker felt morally repulsed by the knowledge that the government is spying on millions of innocent citizens in secret, something normally associated with communist and fascist regimes, not with democratic republics. Well, that is the direction that we are headed, into fascism. And we should all be repulsed by this. We should all thank the person who leaked this. And I think it puts WikiLeaks, it puts what's going on with Bradley Manning in an entirely different perspective, doesn't it? And we need to think about that. We need to be grateful to people who, when they see the government breaking its own laws which, as I said before, fly in the face of the Constitution, and even those new unconstitutional laws are not enough of a restriction for these people. We need to get together, we need to do something, and we need to demand that congressmen, whether they're opposition congressmen or whether you get people like Ron Wyden and Rand Paul can get together on civil liberties issues like this. There are people in the House where this needs to start that can come together on this. And we need to say to our congressional representatives, if you do not impeach somebody who has done something like this, like Obama, you are part of the problem. You are enabling them. You are tacitly approving of what they're doing by your inaction and by your silence. You need to do something, Congressman, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It was Republicans getting behind the impeachment of Richard Nixon that made him resign. And they stayed on the wrong side of that argument for far too long, and we got a lot of Democrats who are on the wrong side of this argument for far too long on this right now. Now, of course, Obama, if he gets out, is going to be replaced by somebody who probably has a lot of his same agenda, but it is important that people understand, it's important that the next person that comes into power understands that the people are not going to tolerate this, that Congress is not going to tolerate this kind of blanket repudiation of the Constitution they swore to uphold. We need to make sure they're going to understand that and that they are chastened by that. That's why we need to get Obama out. Even if we put somebody in that's going to be as bad or worse than Obama, we've got to take action. We cannot allow this to continue. Let's go to our next caller here. We've got Justin in Missouri. Justin, can you hear me?
Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to, Alex has got to get that bullhorn that he's sitting next to signed by all these people he's got coming on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's all I wanted to say. Maybe
okay.
Get a little more for that one in the money bomb this year.
All right, great. That's good. Thank you. Noel in Illinois. Noel, what's your point?
Yeah, it's Noel, like the Christmas song.
Oh, okay.
Great job as always. Yeah, no worries. Before I get into Bilderberg, anyone in the Utah area, you may want to go up to Park City, Utah. There's an off-the-record meeting taking place as we speak. I'm not sure if anyone has noticed this. Mitt Romney is hosting a summit, Experts and Enthusiasts Summit, where no media coverage will be taking place at all. It's probably like a quasi-Bilderberg-ish. It's an off-the-record meeting with some pretty big names. Chris Christie's going to be there. It's been reported Rand Paul was there today giving a speech. David Axelrod, who's buddies with the president. A lot of big names, Paul Ryan and others, are attending this off-the-record meeting up in Park City, Utah. So if anyone in Utah who listens to the show may want to check that out, you can search online. It's called the Experts and Enthusiasts Conference. And, average Joes could attend. It's $5,000 a plate that goes to Son Tags hedge fund group
there we
based out
go.
of Chicago.
Okay.
So
well.
again, it's called the Experts and Enthusiasts Conference, and I called during the week mentioning about tweeting Jake Tapper to try to get him to cover Bilderberg, and I was shocked to see yesterday watching Jake Tapper show the lead on CNN. Towards the end of his show, he spent a whole segment on Bilderberg. He had a news package talking about Bilderberg.
They can no longer ignore it. They look foolish and stupid if they do, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to spin it. And he did covered Alex Jones. He had some of the great B-roll graphics up there that Darren McBreen did, and I think maybe John Bound might have contributed some of that stuff to it. But they talk about Alex. They take some of his comments out of context. They put something in there about Jesse Ventura saying they're trying to kill me. And it's like, of course, the government would never try to do anything like that. I'm sure that Jesse Ventura wouldn't be on a hit list from Obama's drones, nothing like that. But they try to make him look ridiculous. They try to pretend that Bilderberg doesn't mean anything now that they can't deny that it exists. Let's go to this interview that we've got here that the Huffington Post had with Alex Jones, and he's talking about how the secrecy of Bilderberg has now been exposed.
So I talked to like 100 people on all these questions. Okay, go ahead, start over.
Alex, we heard that David Cameron is actually going to attend this meeting today. Are you surprised it's coming down, and is there an obvious conflict of interest there?
Well, I kind of halfway expected something like this to happen because they've gone from being secret and saying anybody that talks about it is a kook or conspiracy theorist to now, okay, we're real, but we're just a little political chat. And so they want to hide in plain view and have David Cameron come here. And who knows, Sarkozy may come here. The word is Bill Gates is going to be sneaking in. A lot of times there's 20, 30 to 50 people who aren't on the list, and those are usually the real conflict of interest, and that's who they'll have sneak in or land behind fences and helicopters. But the fact that Cameron is openly announcing as the head of a major state that he's going to be attending it in the middle of it, I think this is Bilderberg pretty much going public. And that's actually what I was told from my Senate sources and what I was told by a major Hollywood source through a member of the Bilderberg group, that they are having a major debate about just opening up their entire operation to the press, or at least the speeches they give that are Davos-like. But it's the break-off groups where the real collusion goes on, the price fixing. I mean, there have been indictments before. There have been investigations back in the 70s with Lockheed and Prince Bernhard and jet deals with the Netherlands. So that's the type of things that go on here. And we've just been trying, myself for 18 years, to get the public to understand there are these types of super high-level power broker meetings going on. It was Westbrook Pegler back in the 50s that happened to be on vacation and see a hotel locked down and people he knew, famous people, world leaders there. And he was a syndicated columnist and wrote about it, and they said, shut up. And he said, shut up? What, there's something above government? And then it just grew from there. We didn't even know the name of it until about 35 years ago.
Plus, do you think that the fact that it is going public now, and festivals like this, Fringe going on, will the influence of the Bilderberg group wane, do you think?
I think that the influence of the Bilderberg group has waned because of exposure, but it's waned even more in just the last few years. Now it's completely evident today because of the fact that the founding members have died, like Prince Bernhard, or they're so old, like Henry Kissinger and David Rockefeller. What we're really seeing is more than a death, we're seeing a passing of the torch to what I call Googleberg, and we have insiders on that. That's what really freaked them out why they threw us out days before it even started. We have sources in government that also confirmed from people that were in the hotel that work there that indeed Google is basically organizing and running it all and uses this kind of as a command base on a routine basis. This is a Google command base. Google brags they planned and launched the Arab Spring here. And so it's Google is merging with Bilderberg, and Facebook is merging with Bilderberg, and the torch is being passed really this year. That's why Queen Beatrix is now stepping down. Her son's going to become the king. A total torch passing is going on right now inside. And this is a big victory for those of us that pointed out the obvious. There are powerful corporate groups above government manipulating things. They're the ones that set up the EU. A lot of their minutes have leaked. Documents have been stolen. They've confirmed they're real. WikiLeaks. They set a lot of policies. They steer much of our world. And the people that are attendees, they steer other organizations that manage other areas. But this is right up at the top of the pyramid. It's one of the oldest, continued, and most prestigious within the establishment meetings. I mean, if you get the Bilderberg nod, like Bill Clinton did in 1991, little-known governor, you're going right to the top. If you get the Bilderberg nod, like Tony Blair did 2 years before he became prime minister, they plan things 2, 3, 4 years out on the schemes and the programs, and always right after Bilderberg, you then see their talking points being regurgitated at G8, G20, being pushed by the media outlets they own and control.
Just finally, Alex, are you seeing more interest in this kind of thing from around the globe? Obviously, very much focused on the US, but it's the global conspiracy that you're looking at here. Are you seeing people come to your site? Are you getting letters from people around the world, from the UK, from Europe?
Absolutely. I mean, our website, Infowars.com, is visited by people all over the planet. The radio show is listened to by people all over the planet. I've run into people on the streets of London. When I'm just walking in the dark, I hear my voice come over, of all race, colors, creeds. I've gone out into some of the tourist areas and run into people that live in London and just been basically mobbed by people that are listeners over here. So people are as awake in England to what's going on as they are in Texas, where I live. And so I think it's a populism that transcends left and right as people begin to try to figure out exactly who the special interests are that always get the front seats, who always get first dibs at the table, who get bailed out for trillions of dollars. I mean, that's what's going on in there. Tax avoidance for the ultra-rich, setting agendas, price fixing. They've been caught before, and that's why they always told the media, just say we don't exist or you're fired. I've talked to national press people just this year who were told, do not go cover Bilderberg. I've talked to national press profilers in the United States who were said, of course, I can do whatever I want. I'll be allowed to go to England and cover you. Famous reporters. And then they're told, no, they told me, don't go. And by the way, don't mention Bilderberg in your piece. So that's the type of stuff that's going on. I talked to 5 different national media outlets who were already doing profiles on me, and several of them asked to come here and were told they couldn't. And one of them told me off record, no, you're right. Well, I'm blown away. They said, don't even mention that. And then they asked the editor of the major magazine, well, why? They said, just we'll keep the job, just don't get into it. Because in the United States, it's finally been in the Huffington Post. It's finally been in CNBC covered it. I mean, just 4 years ago, the New York Times did an article, a film review of a film called New World Order, with a film crew that was there just covering me, covered Bilderberg. They had helicopters, armored limousines coming in. They had Secret Service with MP5s aiming them at us. I mean, it was a circus. And the New York Times said Jones was in a Marriott, field imagining all this. I mean, wow. I mean, no wonder circulation of those establishment publications is down, because everybody online saw the video. They knew it was real and happening. I mean, imagine the New York Times. Can the New York Times today say Jones was in England imagining stuff? Probably will. And they've got a certain audience that they could tell anything they wanted to. I mean, it's just, it doesn't mean I have all the answers either about what's going on. It doesn't mean everybody in there is openly evil or consciously evil. It just means that there is power structures that are always trying to manipulate our countries, and they don't want us to even know that's happening.
Well, that's Alex Jones talking to the Huffington Post in London at the Bilderberg event. We're going to be coming back after the break, and we're going to be talking to Richard in Texas about Bilderberg. And we've also got Chris in Florida calling us to talk about that Sheriff Nicholas Finch, who was taken out of office and is possibly facing some criminal charges because he would not enforce unconstitutional laws as a sheriff. That's a key event right there. We got to follow that, and we'll be right back to talk to these people right after the break. Stay tuned.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
GCN listeners have their minds wide open, and open minds are inventive minds. America urgently needs new products and services to grow companies and to create new jobs. I'm Russ Weinzimmer of Russ Weinzimmer & Associates PC, a national law firm helping individuals and small companies across the U.S. As a GCN listener myself, I know this country is in deep trouble and it's time to take action. Even if you've never worked with a patent attorney before, we will work with you to get strong strategic protection for your invention. Just contact us for a free consultation to see if you can become a client. We are registered patent attorneys, so all consultations are completely confidential. Just go to strategicpatentlaw.com or call 800-621-3654 for your free consultation. That's 800-621-3654 or go to strategicpatentlaw.com. From your mind to the marketplace.
Don't throw away leftovers. Instead, throw all your leftovers, vegetable peels, eggshells, coffee grounds, pizza crusts, and more into the bokashi. If you love to garden and compost but don't like the hassle of turning a compost bin or the smell, then check out the EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from Terraganics. Finally, a way to recycle all your food and plant waste safely and effectively and stop using fertilizers. The EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System. Rather than decomposition, the Bokashi system uses fermentation to break down waste, so it takes less time to create nutrient-dense humus for crops or gardens with no turning and no obnoxious odors. To learn more and order your Bokashi online, visit Terraganics.com and click on the orange button. That's Terraganics.com, spelled Terraganix.com, or call 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Recycle all your food wastes in about 6 weeks with the Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from Terraganics.com. Terraganics. Life's getting better.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight filling in for Alex Jones. We just had a report that 3 people have been reported wounded in Santa Monica, California. If there's any news updates on that, we'll be following it on the nightly news tonight. Rob Dew will be hosting. Now, stop and think for a moment, though, without being insensitive, it's a tragedy when anything like this happens. But if this was an automobile accident where there were 3 people injured in an automobile accident in Santa Monica, California, would that be national news? Just stop and think about the fact, why is that even national news? We just had a building collapse in Philadelphia that injured 2 people and killed 2 people and injured quite a few others. About the same number of casualties that happened at the Boston bombing. And look at the way things are spun differently. When we see this happen with the building collapse in Philadelphia, everybody is touched by the tragedy of it, but there's not calls to outlaw buildings or whatever. But it's that's what you always see whenever it's something that they can use to forward their agenda of the police state. They will use it and they will publicize it. So we hope that there are no deaths there. Our thoughts and prayers with those people who've been injured in California, and we'll see what comes of that as we move along. But right now, let's move to a call. We've got a caller in Richard in Texas. Richard, are you there?
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I just wanted to share a story with you since you're talking about the Bilderbergs and police states. I moved to Beverly Hills, California, Los Angeles, California back in 81, and I took a bike messenger job up in Beverly Hills because my brother had been picked up for parking in front of employment, which was Western Union at the time. They threw him in prison. Well, in jail first, in prison later. And he hadn't paid some parking tickets, so they needed a new guy to fill his position, so I became the bike messenger. Now, my first day on the job, I completed the day. I got lost a lot delivering the mail, so I finally completed the day. It happened to be 104 degrees that day, too. And I'm riding up and down Beverly Hills trying to deliver high-dollar Western Union MoneyGrams. So at the last minute before I was getting off at about 4 o'clock, all of a sudden about, I don't know how many units came. They encircled me. They pit me up against a building right there on Wilshire Boulevard, the richest street in the world, they say. They put 100 guns in my head. Literally, it was like Yosemite Sam or somebody drawing down on me. And I'll try to be real quick because I know you got to get off. But they eventually arrested me after leaving me in the sun for about an hour to sweat out. 2 old citizens came by and pointed the finger at me. I was allegedly the one who beat them up in Beverly Hills, took their gold, and I'm still stupid enough to be riding around delivering high-dollar Western Union MoneyGrams. But they put me in jail that night. They kept me all night. I didn't get to make a phone call to my new employer. Then I found out that everybody else that was in jail that day were actually being held over so they could have their identities checked, because this was before the computers. Now, the point I'm making, Beverly Hills is like a small bastion for the Bohemian Grove, New World Order types, and I'm sure you know that. So if you and Alex Jones and the rest of us don't defeat these criminals, they'll turn the entire American police force into the Beverly Hills police force.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the document they released me with said detainment. They didn't say they arrested me. So
yeah, right.
They put 100 pills in my head and let me off the next day.
Well, Richard, they just passed the Senate just passed a law, but it hasn't. It's still got to go through the other house and be signed. But in New York, they just passed a law saying that it's going to be a felony to annoy a policeman. You know, you can't annoy your masters. I think what needs to happen is I think they need to take New York and they need to take California, let them secede from the Union, and maybe they can do something kind of like they had East and West Pakistan and leave the rest of us alone to go our own way. But it's getting really bad with New York and with California especially, but it's a template.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.